Frequently, narratives circulate about children who go missing, and unfortunately, not every tale concludes on a positive note. According to statistics, if a disappearance remains unresolved after 5 days, the likelihood of locating the child diminishes to 3%. Thus, when the vanished teenager from Texas was discovered alive, there was widespread joy, particularly among his family. They identified him as Nicholas and embraced him warmly. However, a few months later, a startling revelation awaited them. A bully. Born in 1981 in San Antonio, Nicholas Barclay's early years were marked by a challenging upbringing. His sister and brother assumed responsibility for his care, as their mother, Beverly, struggled with alcohol abuse, and his father was seldom present at home. Despite the lack of proper care, Nicholas exhibited signs of defiance from a young age, emerging as a disobedient child with a disdain for authority figures. His academic performance was notably poor, and as he matured, he developed into a rebellious and troublesome individual. Teachers described him as an arrogant and cruel teenager, known for bullying classmates without discerning the boundaries of acceptable behavior. Thief. Nicholas preferred spending the majority of his time outside his home, engaging in activities such as playing basketball with friends, bullying in the neighborhood, and participating in theft. Initially, the ill-gotten gains were used for buying candy, but as time passed, Nicholas and his friends transitioned to spending on alcohol and cigarettes. Nicholas's mischievous exploits escalated in danger. Just before his disappearance, he even assaulted a teacher who had admonished him. A hearing loomed on the horizon, with the potential consequence of the teenager being sent to a specialized facility for juvenile delinquents. Did any of these warnings deter him? Not in the least. Nicholas persisted in his delinquent behavior, remaining convinced that he would escape consequences for his actions. In 1994, he barely completed the school year, anticipating a carefree and enjoyable summer ahead. How mistaken he was. Walk. June 13, 1994 started like any other day for Nicholas and his companions as they roamed the city. Their journey led them to a basketball court nearly 4 kilometers from Barclay's residence, where they played until the late afternoon. Around 11 p.m., Nicholas, feeling remorseful for pilfering $5 from his mother's purse earlier that day, sought to apologize. He located a payphone and called home, hoping Beverly would pick him up from the playground. Unfortunately, she was absent, presumably at the bar as usual. Answering the phone was Nicholas' 20-year-old brother Jason, who shared similar vices with their mother, and held resentment towards the teenager for breaking his new cassette player. "Can you pick me up?" Nicholas inquired. "Time to grow up and take responsibility for your actions. You can make it back on your own, even if you have to walk," Jason retorted sternly. Nicholas had no choice but to heed his brother's words. Little did he know that it would be their final conversation. That night, the 13-year-old troublemaker bid farewell to his friends and set out for home on foot. Regrettably, no one would lay eyes on him again. Investigation. The San Antonio police classified Nicholas' vanishing act as a runaway case. His strained relationships with his mother, brother, and teachers painted a picture that supported the notion of him fleeing home. The only close bond he had was with his sister Carrie, who graduated that summer and relocated to another city. Hence, from an external perspective, the teenager's departure appeared plausible. Despite conducting interviews with all of Nicholas' friends and acquaintances, the police found themselves without a single lead. The teenager, known for his secretive and calculated nature, seldom shared his plans, leaving those close to him and the authorities in the dark. The investigators faced a daunting challenge, as Nicholas' family, equally perplexed, couldn't provide any valuable insights. The sole lead emerged 3 months after the disappearance, in September 1994, when Jason, Nicholas' brother, reported a peculiar sighting. He claimed to have seen Nicholas attempting to break into the family garage late at night. However, when Jason called out to him, the 13-year-old allegedly fled, leaving no trace. This lone lead, unfortunately, proved futile, and the enigma of the vanished teenager persisted. Reappearance. However, in 1997, a shocking turn of events left the San Antonio police dumbfounded when they received an unexpected call from law enforcement in Spanish Madrid, a city located over 10,000 kilometers away from Texas. The Spanish authorities relayed a surprising message. They had a young man identifying himself as Nicholas Barclay in their custody. Could it be that a genuine miracle had occurred and the long-lost member of the Barclay family had been located? According to Nicholas's account to the police in Madrid 3 years prior, he had been abducted by a group of drug dealers and transported from the United States to Italy and then to Spain. He claimed to have miraculously escaped their clutches and promptly sought refuge with the police. In response to this unexpected revelation, arrangements were made for Nicholas's sister, Carrie, to travel to Spain and positively identify her brother. Filled with hope and armed with photographs, she embarked on a journey that held the promise of reuniting with the missing family member. A meeting. Upon her arrival in Madrid, Carrie struggled to immediately recognize the unfamiliar man as her brother Nicholas. However, one striking similarity caught her attention: the nearly identical heart tattoo on his right arm. Puzzled, she wondered how different individuals could share such similar markings. Yet, beyond the shared tattoo, the disparities were evident. Nicholas, as she remembered, was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed individual with a tumultuous temperament. The man sitting before Carrie, however, had dark hair, brown eyes, and displayed a calm, if not phlegmatic, demeanor. Despite Nicholas offering peculiar explanations, such as his hair being dyed by his kidnappers and his eye color altered through surgery, Carrie ultimately recognized the man as her long-lost brother. The siblings then journeyed back to San Antonio, where they were warmly welcomed by their mother, brother, and other relatives. In celebration of Nicholas's return, the family hosted a small welcome party, and the emotional reunion saw the mother tearfully embracing her son. Unaware of the profound changes he had undergone, she had maintained Nicholas's room exactly as he left it, a testament to her enduring longing. The young man seamlessly moved back into the family home, settling in as if nothing had transpired during his absence. The detective. The saga of the Barclay family quickly became headline news in numerous newspapers, resembling the dramatic conclusion of a Hollywood movie to many observers due to its seemingly unrealistic nature. Predictably, the high-profile nature of the story attracted a swarm of journalists. Since Nicholas was reticent to share details, one newspaper took the initiative to hire a private investigator to delve deeper into the unfolding narrative. The chosen investigator was a former police officer named Charlie Parker. Parker found the teenager's claims about a change in hair and eye color to be immediately suspect. Such a drastic alteration, especially modifying the eye color of a kidnapped individual, seemed highly improbable and raised serious doubts about the veracity of Nicholas's account. Evidence. The detective also found himself perplexed by the apparent disparity in personalities. While some changes could be attributed to the natural process of growing up, This version of Nicholas struck him as excessively composed and considerably more mature than a typical 16-year-old boy. Seeking further evidence, Parker assumed the guise of a reporter and conducted an interview with Nicholas. Although Barclay provided a brief overview of his childhood, the detective detected inconsistencies in certain details, leading him to doubt the authenticity of the man's claims. To solidify his suspicions, Parker compared the shapes of Nicholas's ears with those in childhood photographs, discovering marked differences. This revelation left Charlie convinced that his suspicions were well-founded. Armed with this information, he approached the police, but not before one of the newspapers published an article exposing an imposter masquerading as Nicholas Barclay. Disclosure. Parker's instincts were spot on. His detective intuition had not led him astray. When the police took custody of Nicholas and compelled him to undergo DNA and fingerprint tests, the shocking truth emerged: this individual was not Barclay, and he was far from being 16 years old. 3 months following his purported return, Nicholas was officially exposed. In reality, the person in question was a 23-year-old French citizen named Frederic Bourdin, a notorious imposter widely known as the Chameleon. Bourdin, specialized in assuming false identities, had successfully deceived the Barclay family and the public. Bourdin was later sentenced to 6 years in prison. Intriguingly, he asserted that his motives weren't financial gain. Rather, he sought love and attention that had eluded him during his childhood. Raised by his grandparents, Bourdin believed his actions were driven by a longing for the emotional connections he lacked in his upbringing. Where's Nicholas? No body or any other trace of Nicholas was ever found. However, after his arrest, Bourdin shared something intriguing with the police. Frederic claimed that he suspected the Barclay family's involvement in Nicholas's disappearance, a belief supported by the ease of his infiltration. From an external perspective, the situation does raise suspicions. How could Nicholas's close relatives mistake a brown-eyed brunette for a blue-eyed blonde? Despite the stark contrast in appearance, the Barclay family welcomed Bourdin into their home willingly, considering him a relative for 3 months. Even though he was a known serial imposter, continuing his fraudulent activities even after his release in 2003, Frederic Bourdin managed to deceive the grief-stricken mother, sister, and brother of the missing teenager. Notably, he spoke flawless English and demonstrated exceptional acting skills, as acknowledged by the judge. Interestingly, Charlie Parker, the detective who exposed Bourdin, also harbors suspicions about the Barclays' involvement in Nicholas's disappearance. According to Parker, Jason was the likely culprit, with his mother and sister covering for him. Why the past tense? Jason succumbed to a drug overdose shortly after Bourdin's arrest, and it remains uncertain whether it was accidental. Despite multiple interrogations, Jason was never implicated in his brother's disappearance. Although his claim of seeing Nicholas in September 1994 appears dubious, given the nighttime conditions, it could be attributed to a potential mistake. Nicholas's mother persisted in believing Bourdin was her son, defending him until the DNA test results were revealed. Some attribute this to her struggles with alcohol addiction, suggesting that she may have willfully denied the truth due to heartbreak. There are even speculations that, deep down, Beverly might have been aware of the imposter, but grief blinded her. She later agreed to undergo a lie detector test, with the first 2 attempts yielding ambiguous results. However, the third attempt resulted in failure, adding another layer of complexity to the mysterious case. I hope you liked this story. Please don't forget to leave a comment sharing with your thoughts below. Give a thumbs up this video and remember to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more captivating stories. Thank you for joining us on this remarkable journey, and we'll see you in the next video.